Part 5. Love, Lost, and Longing. As I walked away from Fikayo's place, I felt a sense of pride and self-respect. I had honored my boundaries and prioritized my values, even if it was hard. The keys remained unfinished, but my integrity was intact. In the days that followed, I reflected on the encounter. I realized that my moment of hesitation was moment of clarity. I understood that true intimacy requires mutual respect, trust, and communication. Though Fikayode and I did not label our encounter, I knew that I had made a choice that aligned with my heart. I was grateful for the experience as it taught me to listen to my inner voice and prioritize my own needs. As I moved forward, I carried the memory of the unfinished keys with me. I told myself that it would be the last romantic encounter I would have with Fikayode. To avoid rekindling our spark, I started setting boundaries and limiting my attention towards him. I knew that continue our virtual conversation would only lead us back to where we started, and I wanted to avoid that. I began making excuses, telling him that my boyfriend was back in the picture and that I wanted us to remain just friends. Fikayode noticed my effort to push him away, but he didn't push back. Instead, he extended his plans and traveled to another state. When he told me he was leaving soon, I felt a mix of emotions. I was glad that distance would help us forget our feelings, but I was also sad that I would miss him. I avoided seeing Fikayode on the day he left for another state. Even though he messaged me and kept me updated on his travels, I ignored his messages, trying my best to avoid any interaction that might make me want to see him again. I even went as far as blocking all our communication channels for 3 years. However, despite my best efforts, I found myself unblocking him and reinitiating conversations with him time and again. Yet I maintained my resolve to not see him physically for those 3 years. In the third year of our on-again, off-again conversation, Fikayode and I started developing mutual feelings once more. He asked if I would like to meet up again, but I hesitated, unsure if I was ready. He also inquired about my previous insistence on no sex during our encounter, and I confessed that I had been a virgin at the time, trying to preserve my vow to only have sex with someone I was in a relationship with, namely my boyfriend. Fikayode was taken aback, remarking that at 19 when we met, I was surprisingly a virgin. He recalled trying to feel me and how tight it was, making it difficult for him to penetrate. I interrupted him, clarifying that I was once a virgin, but now I had lost my virginity to my boyfriend. Fikayode didn't seem to mind whether my boyfriend and I were still connected or not. All he wanted was to see me again and rekindle the feelings we once shared. Due to the gap in my relationship, Fikayode saw an opportunity to intensify our communication. He suggested we meet up again, offering to make himself available for a lengthy conversation about everything, including our past relationships and current ones. After some consideration, I agreed to meet up with him again, despite the long time apart and the lingering feelings. Part 6. Undeniable Attraction. As Fikayode and I continued our virtual conversation, he shared that he was based in Lagos State, pursuing better opportunities. He expressed his willingness to take time off and visit me in Oyo State, eager to rekindle our connection. When he finally returned to Oyo State during the Christmas season, he initially spent time with his family before inviting me to meet him. I requested an open space for our meeting, but he preferred a private setting, suggesting a serene environment where we could freely converse and reconnect physically, just like we used to online. While I understood his perspective, I was still uncertain about controlling myself if he tried to initiate physical contact, reminding myself that I'm already in a relationship with my boyfriend. I was determined to avoid any intimate encounters with Fikayode, yet a part of me still yearned for a connection with him. Unable to resolve this inner conflict, I decided to meet Fikayode again, curious about what would unfold next. With a mix of emotions, I agreed to meet Fikayode again, convincing myself that I could control the situation like I did during our first encounter when I was a virgin. I remembered how I stopped him as the climax of intimacy, and I hoped to tap into that same self-control again. The day of our meeting arrived, and we decided to meet at his brother's place in Oyo, who was away at the time. As we reunited, we embraced each other warmly, expressing how much we missed each other. The familiarity and chemistry between us still lingered, making it feel like no time had passed at all. In an instant, I found myself craving more of his presence, the memory of our unfinished kiss still lingering in my mind. I tried to caution myself not to make the first move, but our romantic gaze locked us in a moment of mutual desire. Before I knew it, we were kissing passionately again. The chemistry between us undeniable. Our passion escalated beyond kissing. We couldn't contain our desire, and soon we were intimate. I surrendered to the moment, and he expertly aroused me, leaving me eager for more. As our connection deepened, we shared our inhibitions and clothed, embracing our vulnerability. In that moment, we were both exposed, our bodies yearning for union. This time, I surrendered completely, unable to resist his advances. We had unprotected sex, which heightened our pleasure. As we made love, my facial expressions revealed my desire for more, and Fikayode enthusiastically obliged. We both gave in to our cravings, and as we neared climax, he withdrew and went to clean up in the bathroom. I followed suit, and afterwards we collapsed on the bed, exhausted but satisfied. As we lay on the bed, we discussed the implications of our actions on our relationships. Fikayode shared that he's not in a good place with his girlfriend and isn't ready for a committed relationship. Meanwhile, I knew I had to confront my own guilt for betraying my boyfriend. I considered breaking up with him and pursuing a relationship with Fikayode, but the latter's reluctance to commit gave me pause. I'm now torn between confessing to my boyfriend, exploring a friends with benefits arrangement with Fikayode, or taking time to reflect on my feelings. If you were in my shoes, what would you have done?